there, fellow Star Wars nerds, and welcome to Unlimited Content, the podcast where two brothers talk about all of Star Wars film and TV in chronological order on the internet as an excuse to hang out more. We're your hosts, Sam and Jack, and this week we're talking about The Clone Wars, Season 4, Episode 4, Shadow Warrior. Just one episode this week, Sam, but
just
we're back.
We are so back. We've never been more back.
We've of all the times that we've been back, this is the most.
Yep, more back than most.
More back than most, name of this episode.
Yeah, how you doing?
Find out.
What's going on? What's new in Jackland?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a fun adventure earlier today with some friends. It's one of my friend's birthdays, and
birthday friend
to celebrate. She's working today, but on her dinner break, we went to a place nearby that I had not heard of before. That I didn't know it existed until yesterday. But it's a milk and cookies place. It's like
my
little,
goodness!
Like, it's kind of hidden behind like this little like shopping center that's kind of secluded, and there's this little like kind of idyllic looking white house building sort of thing, and it's a walk-up counter, and you walk up and you can order milk and cookies and coffee and ice cream, and we got milk and cookies, and we sat outside and ate cookies and chatted, and it was delightful.
I love that.
Yeah, I love milk and cookies. I think it's like the platonic ideal of desserts. So, like...
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't go wrong with a good chocolate chip and some milk, you know? Which that's what I had. I had a good chocolate chip cookie.
I'll push back on you a little bit. I think the platonic ideal of desserts is a Pizookie. I don't know where they're from, but it's like a fresh baked, like still hot out of the oven giant chocolate chip cookie. The big old scoop vanilla ice cream on top.
Okay, yes. That is like, that's the platonic ideal of the platonic ideal. It's like, that's milk and cookies upgraded, is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Milk and cookies evolved.
Yes. I used to work at an Alamo Draft House, and so I got half off of food when I went to go see movies for free. And so what I would often get is they did that basically. They just had like either a big cookie or like 3 regular sized cookies that they baked fresh and then put a scoop of vanilla ice cream on it.
It's perfect. It does not get better.
Yeah. But even though I had half off there, it was still a little expensive, and I'm still reeling from the expenses.
Oh no, Jack! How will you financially recover from the half off cookies and ice cream that you bought several years ago when you were working?
Well, luckily we do have a sponsor to keep us afloat and to keep me from going into massive debt from all these cookies I'm buying.
Yes.
Yeah. This week's episode of Unlimited Content is brought to you by A Good Deal.
A good deal.
A good deal. I love whenever you're window shopping, you're looking at a half price books, or just for example, not that I have a specific example I'm about to go through or anything, but like a half price books, and you find something cool and you're like, ooh, that's neat, how much is that? And you're like, oh, that's actually really, really cheap, I want that. Or in another occasion you might have like stacking coupons, and there's like a sale going on at the same time, and you're like, oh yes, I got this $100 thing for $40 or whatever. Ooh. Or even if it's just like a small thing where it's like you'll have like a coupon in the store that's like buy one get one on ice cream or something.
Or you get like a really cool collectible for like $12.99 or something. Was that
funny you should mention. So we have a special guest with us today on Limited Content. Say hello, special guest. Hold on. I don't know if you can hear that, but
I couldn't hear it at all. But it might have come. I think Discord is filtering it out, but I've heard the video that you recorded of it earlier.
Anyway, it should be coming up on my mic, but yeah, this is Lola.
Wonderful.
I got a little animatronic Lola from Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's young Leia's little droid that she brings around with her, and it's just like, it's to scale, and it looks really nice, and it moves around and makes noises, and it responds to like, it's not like voice recognition, but it hears audio, and then like if you like speak to it or make a loud noise, it'll like say something afterwards, which is why she's talking a bunch right now, is because she's hearing me say things.
It's like the clapper for light switches.
But, basically, yes. Yeah. She's a very sophisticated, adorable clapper.
Yes.
But yeah, she's a little disc girl. She comes with a little stand, little legs.
I like it.
Just take her off her stand, and
that is the cutest portable CD player I've ever seen in my life.
It does look very much like a portable CD player from 2002.
But also from Star Wars.
But also from Star Wars, and it makes sounds other than CD noises.
Yep.
And it's adorable.
Or Michael Bay's Transformers. Like if there was a Transformer of just a portable CD player, it would be that.
I would totally buy that. That's very like Soundwave, because he's like the tape deck Transformer.
Oh yeah,
right.
Wasn't he like a boombox or something? No tape deck. You're right.
Yeah, he was like a boombox, and he had like a tape. He had a tape inside him, which was another Transformer. Was the tape? He was like his little friend.
Yes,
popped out.
Nice.
So one of the cooler Transformers. So there's no off switch on Lola, so she'll turn off eventually. After she stops hearing noise for a bit. So whenever you go into a long segment of speaking, and I'm not saying anything, she'll talk. She'll stop
Lola's
talking.
just gonna be joining us for a while. That's fine.
Yeah. But I did not expect to be purchasing a Star Wars animatronic, a lifelike 2-scale working brand new inbox Star Wars animatronic this week. But I found one at Half Price Books for $12.
Yes.
Which is nuts. Like this thing, I think at retail originally went for like $100, and then they like discounted it a bunch. But then I got it literally it was just in box. Like it didn't look like it had been ever opened before because it was all still in the packaging and everything. And she looks perfect, and I love her. And it looks like she did stop eventually. So anyway, yeah, she's great. I love her, and she's adorable. And she's gonna sit right next to my BD1 Lego set on my shelf.
As well as she should.
Anyway, so all that to say, thank you to our sponsor this week, A Good Deal, for sponsoring this episode.
That is a good deal.
Saving us money and sponsoring us.
Yes.
So nice. So yeah, that's one of the things I was up to this week. Sam, what have you been up to? You had an exciting you had an exciting week where you also got an adorable new companion.
I did get an adorable new companion.
Yeah.
I want to say if you didn't have a sponsor, which you always have a sponsor lined up because you're pro at getting sponsors, but this week's episode of Limited Content.
Most of the time I make it up the day of.
I know.
Sure.
This week's episode of Limited Content is also sponsored by the Cat Distribution System.
Tell me about the cat distribution system, Sam.
So there's this concept called the Cat Distribution System, which people who are meant to get cats will get cats. And the cats will just appear. They'll just like spawn in front of you. It's like, oh, this is yours now. That happened to me this week. So on Thursday, I was putting things in my car, getting ready to go to something. I think I was just taking out the trash. We were getting ready to go because it was Sarah's birthday on Wednesday. We had a fun time with Sarah's birthday and stuff, and we left Marion at Sarah's parents' house. Yes, happy birthday, Sarah. She's 29. 29. Yep. Yeah. So Marion spent the night at Sarah's parents, so I could take Sarah out. We had a fun get together with friends and stuff, and we were loading up the car to go pick up Marion the next day when a little kitten walked out from underneath my car, kind of circled me a little bit, then walked up on my retaining wall and just crouched underneath a bush. And it was a small, adorable little kitten, very friendly looking. And I went and got Sarah. I'm like, hey, there's a cat outside. We should look at it. And she said, okay. And I just walked up to the cat and scruffed it. And usually it's a stray cat, and usually they're very skittish. Just the chillest cat on the planet. Just let me pick it up. And I walked up to the front porch and handed it to Sarah, and Sarah put it in a little cat carrier, and we got in the car and went and checked it out at a local vet on our way to go pick up Marion. But long story short, I have another cat now.
Cat number 3, right?
Cat number 3. His name is Zorro. He's
Okay, but first of all...
Yeah.
When I first heard about this cat, you sent me a picture of the cat, and you were like, this is our new kitten. Her name is Nimbus. And then later, I saw on Instagram, Sarah was like, actually, this is a boy. His name is Zorro. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
you got the gender wrong. But
we did. So, kittens of a certain age, it is difficult to determine gender until they hit kitty puberty. You can't really tell what gender they are.
Okay.
And so in the 24 hours that we had Nimbus then Zorro, it became more apparent what gender Zorro is, and that's a boy. So originally his name was Nimbus, and that was a fun name, but Zorro just feels more because he's a tuxedo. He's like a black and white tuxedo cat, but his head, like from his like just drew a line straight across from his nose, like around to his ears, just kind of like made a perfect little cap. It's just like a perfect like black cap on his head that covers his nose, eyes, and ears, and the back of his head. So he just looks like he's wearing a mask like Zorro, or like the Dread Pirate Roberts.
The Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah. But Zorro rolls off the tongue better than Dread Pirate Roberts. So that was my first idea. But
Wesley. But no, Zorro's a great name.
Yeah.
Zorro and Nimbus are both great names, honestly.
Yeah. I took a very long time to come up with, like, Sarah and I were talking for about, like, the entire first 24 hours we had this cat. Most of our conversations were, what do we name it?
Mm-hmm.
And
what were some of the rejected names?
Some of the rejected names. Oh gosh. There was a lot. We thought about Moose. Or
that's nice.
Yeah. Or Mercury, named after Freddie Mercury.
Nice.
Loki was another name that we thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There were a lot of good names, but Zorro is the name.
I like it.
Yep.
It's good.
And Marion's having a hard time pronouncing Zorro, at least at first. And so she's calling him Sora, which I kind of like. It's kind of fun. Yeah.
Sora! Sora!
Yep. Yeah, so we have a cat now. His name is Zorro, and he's adorable. He's 3 months old. Very small, very cuddly. He's getting along well with our other two cats. They're kind of like keeping their distance and growling, but they haven't actually like gone to blows yet. Like they're not actually fighting.
There's been no fists have been thrown.
No. When Gigi and Pirate met, they wrestled for 3 weeks straight. I kid you not, wrestled for 3 weeks straight. Like I was terrified. I thought Pirate was gonna die. But unfortunately Pirate did not die. Pirate is still here. Pirate is good. Yeah, but no, they're taking a liking to Zorro. I think it's because Zorro is a boy, and female cats are territorial to other female cats. But boy cats are like, oh, you're just another cat. I don't really care about you. Like,
sure, okay,
yeah, they don't really see him as competition.
Also, he's adorable and tiny.
He's adorable and tiny, and now I'm not the only boy in the house anymore, which is it's a good feeling.
You and Zorro, the boys.
Yes, boys. boy, crazy boy.
Stay cool, boy.
Yep. So. That has taken up a lot of my time the last 72 hours. Yeah, we got them on Thursday and Sunday, so however long that is. Yeah, math. I don't know. I'm tired. But that's been...
Thank you to our secondary sponsor, the Cat Distribution System, for sponsoring this episode.
Thank you. Yep. So, excellent. Taking care of a new cat. What else have I been up to? I have been binging The Boys. The boys. Yep.
You and Zorro, the boys.
Yep. Me and Zorro are the boys. But I'm getting caught up on The Boys because it's the season 4 finale has not aired yet, but I am I'm halfway through season 4 right now. I was only in season 2 about a week and a half ago, so I've been watching a lot of so like every night for the last like week I've been watching like 2 episodes a night. They're only 8 episode seasons, but they're like hour-long episodes. So, yeah, so it's good.
So remind me, the Boys, is this the one about like superheroes?
Yes.
Is this okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
the basic premise of The Boys, it's very gritty, very violent, very like I don't think you would like it because you don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like
I don't like things that depress me.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it's a reasonable position to take.
It is a very reasonable position to take. The reason I had not gotten caught up with the Boys up until this point is because it made me depressed at times to watch it. But now I'm just kind of like locked in and hooked. And also like a lot of like the people that I follow online for like Star Wars updates and Marvel updates also watch The Boys. And there's a new season coming out right now. And they're starting to tweet about it and stuff. And I just like have been trying to avoid spoilers. So I'm just like, I just gotta just crush it. So I'm watching like 2 episodes a night. After Marion goes to bed and Sarah's journaling or watching YouTube in the bedroom or something. I've been doing that.
Cool.
So
it's good. Still good. Show?
It is very good. So the basic premise is it's a world with superheroes, but this world is basically like the entire show is kind of a commentary on like corporatism in America and Christian nationalism. And all of that kind of tied into the world of superheroes. So the premise of like the first season is like there's this church that's kind of like loosely Scientology, but also like evangelical Christian vibes, and like they're coming up with all of these quote unquote miracles of these kids being born with superpowers and like being God's gift to humanity kind of thing, and they're being kind of these saviors, but really it kind of comes to light that their superpowers come from basically like this super soldier serum from like the called Compound V. And yeah, so there's like a group of kind of a group of people trying to take down the company that made Compound V, because they're also like have deep ties with the government and with kind of everything, and also like they all have like personal reasons for wanting to take this company down. Like they've all experienced personal loss, usually at the hands of superheroes, because all the superheroes are basically just like reckless teenagers with a lot of money, but also superpowers and fame and like no accountability and all that stuff. And so all of the tragedy and stuff that you would assume would ensue with something like that does. And so the show is basically this group called the Boys trying to take down the company that is putting all this together.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yep. Zoro, what are you doing?
Zoro's here.
Zoro's awake and roaming the room. But yeah, so watching that show, it's very good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I was watching I watched a video yesterday that's like basically just a summary of all the ways in which Ronald Reagan during his time as presidency ruined America. and all the things you were talking about like, like the rich and Christian nationalism and corruption, and I was like, this is all ringing a bell. Like it's very familiar. What's going on with is the kitty running around? What's going on?
Zoro likes to eat cables and things. Zoro! So he saw like power strip behind me and just started like batting at it. And so I'm holding the cat now. So
we need those for podcasting, Zoro.
I know. Don't rip out all of the power cables to all of my things. But anyway, you were watching a thing on Reagan. Up.
Yeah, just I watched a video essay basically about like, here's all the ways in which the Reagan administration kind of set the stage for like MAGA republicanism, and also many of the social and political problems that are present today in America.
Yes.
And yeah, it's rough. Like stuff that I basically already knew, but to see it all in one place, to be like, here's all the things, here's all the major things that just screwed over poor people and people of color and gay people, and just it's rough. Anyway, you talking about the Boys, talking about that made me think, that I can see the allegory.
Oh yeah,
pretty clearly. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and the Boys is also like started getting produced, I think, during the Trump administration, so a lot of it is like directly at Trumpism.
It's a response to Trumpism.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You guys, get out of here.
He scampered off again.
Yep. He dropped down. He's fine. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, cool. So that's the Boys.
That's the Boys.
You got a cat. You're watching the Boys.
Yep.
Yeah. There's the Boys of you and the cat. There's the Boys of the TV show, and then there's a third thing. What's the?
There's a secret third thing. This third thing. So I've started listening to a new audiobook. So growing up, one of my favorite books that I read as a middle schooler was called Hatchet by Gary Paulson.
Yes.
Did you ever read Hatchet?
I don't think I ever did, but I remember you liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I remember seeing other people read it. But yeah.
Zoro, what are you doing?
I might have read it once for school, but it's been a long time that it definitely didn't leave a major impact on me.
Gotcha. It was one of my favorite books. I read it over and over and over again, found sequels and also like alternate. So like the premise of Hatchet is a boy in like late middle school, early high school, his parents are divorced and he's going on a plane ride, like in a small little bush plane, like 2-seater aircraft, to go visit his dad who lives up in the wilderness in Canada. And while he's flying out there, the pilot suffers a heart attack and the plane crashes. And all he really has to survive in the Canadian wilderness is a hatchet that his mom gave him. And it's just kind of like your very typical like boy versus the environment, boy versus the world, kind of like survival kind of thing. Just like out on his own, surviving in the wilderness, learning to become self-sufficient, that sort of thing. Loved that book. And I was scrolling on TikTok and somebody was talking about that book and how he grew up reading that book, and he found an author that gives him the same sort of feeling that reading Hatchet did as a kid, but as a grown-up. Cool. And this author is named Peter Heller. And a lot of his books are very kind of like that main character versus the world survival kind of story sort of thing. And so I got one of his audiobooks on Libby called The Dog Stars. And this is the basic premise of the story is there's this most of humanity's been wiped out by this big flu or some big disease, pandemic, something. And this man and his dog are living in the mountains in Colorado on an airport. And they have their own small little plane. And there's only one person nearby is this crotchety old man who lives on the mountain across the valley. And he doesn't have a plane, but he's got a gun. And he's just like this angry man with a gun. And they kind of have this tenuous like survival team sort of thing going on, but they don't like each other. But it's just kind of how they kind of like are going to survive. But it's the story is more about like the humanity of these characters and like kind of like beauty in life and tragedy and all this stuff. Just like it's more about the beauty of humanity in these characters rather than like the story itself. So
interesting.
I'm only like half an hour into reading it, but I like it so far. I'm excited to keep reading it.
Cool.
Yeah,
that sounds cool. Yeah. As you were describing that, it reminded me a little bit of. I mean, I feel like this is very different in a lot of ways, but just premise-wise, it sounds similar. The Road. Have you read The Road by Cormac McCarthy?
I have not, but the guy on TikTok compared it to The Road.
Okay, yeah. I read The Road in high school my senior year because we read some Cormac McCarthy stuff in the English class that I was in. Cormac McCarthy, amazing author, amazing writer. The Road, one of the most like beautiful and like just completely like desolate, heartbreaking books I've ever read. It's gorgeous, but it's very much like it is a world in which I don't think they ever really talk about what happened to the world, but just everything is just desolate. There's almost no life anywhere, and it's just about like a father and son making their way across the wilderness and trying to survive, and it's just long stretches of nothing and no interaction, but it's just written so beautifully. And anyway, that reminded me of that. But so very different tonally, I think, based on how you described The Dog Stars. But
yeah, I think so. I haven't read enough to know how different that is them. Yeah. But I think The Road might be the next book I read after this one, if I do like this, because what you're describing sounds like something I would very much like to read. I'd
be interested to know what you think of it. Yeah. Definitely very dark.
Sure,
but beautiful.
Yep. Zoro, what are you doing? He's attacking my backpack again.
Well, your backpack should have thought of that before it decided to be a backpack.
I know. How dare it backpack?
How dare it?
Yep.
That's what I'm with Zoro on this one.
I know. Oh, good. He found his catnip mouse. Oh my god. Did you hear that?
No.
He's just chasing this catnip mouse, but also just like knocking shit over in my room onto the floor, and it's all gonna get picked up on the microphone, very loud. But he plays, and he's got this little catnip mouse, and he like takes laps around the room playing hockey, like batting this thing around and chasing it, diving after it, and very cute. But
that's great.
Not quiet.
That's okay. Whenever they hear those noises, they'll be like, "Oh, kitty."
Oh, kitty. I'm gonna try and be focused. I'm not gonna do a good job, but I'm gonna try my hardest to be focused.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. Okay.
So, let's see. That's cool. You got a cat, you've got the boys, and you've got your audiobook.
I do.
That's neat. Let's see. What have I been up to?
Yeah,
I played a video game. What have I been up to? I played a video game. Surprise.
Played a video game.
Me?
No.
A video game?
I ain't buying it. Not for a second.
No precedent whatsoever.
Nope.
Yeah, so I played a video game called The Spirit and the Mouse. It is a nice, short, adorable, relaxing video game where you play as a little mouse in a French village, and you get struck by lightning, and you get electricity powers.
Ooh.
and so you can like zap things and like, you know, turn things on and whatnot. And the idea is you're exploring this village and working to kind of restore power to different parts of the village to like help the people who live in the village. So like it's like a little, it's very like wholesome and adorable, and like you're interacting with these like weird like electricity spirits who are like guardians that like help humans, and you're like an honorary one of them because you've got their powers because you got struck by lightning.
That is so fun.
Anyway, it's very cute and adorable, and it was not super long, but like just it was just really fun. Lots of like exploring and puzzle solving and cute characters, and just it's really sweet and wholesome. And I got it on sale during the Steam summer sale.
Nice.
And it was super fun. I definitely recommend it. Yeah. Also, you can wear hats. You can unlock hats.
What more do you want?
You can wear hats.
That's perfect.
Yeah. You can wear a cheese on your head. You can wear a diving helmet on your head. You can wear pride flags on your head. You can wear all sorts of things. It's great.
Excellent. Love that.
You can wear a little beret. Oh, it's adorable.
Nice.
Little mouse.
Is this like just like a platformer? Is this 3D? Is this?
It's 3D. It's 3D third person. Like I would call it a platformer, except there's no jump button. But it's very much like a, you know, you're just, you know, you're scampering and you can climb up things.
Nice.
But there's not like a jump button. So it is basically like it's like a collectathon 3D platformer. So something like
Sweet.
a Banjo-Kazooie or a Mario 64, but without the jumping bits and more talking to people. Yeah.
Nice.
But it's fun. It's great. Yeah, cool game made by a small indie team, and definitely recommend it if it sounds like fun.
That sounds fun.
Other thing is also a video game, but it's also related to something we talked about last week. So if you'll remember, I got a guitar.
You did get a guitar
and claimed a guitar.
How goes
Sam,
the guitar?
Have you ever heard of? It's good. I have not actually like learned anything yet because I've been like getting, you know, like I ordered a guitar stand so I can have something to put it on.
Nice.
I got a strap so I can, you
Wonderful.
know, dangle it off of me. I got a cable, an instrument cable, and I also like went on my neighborhood's like Facebook Buy Nothing group. Yeah. You're familiar with these, Sam?
I am.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea it's just like for those that don't know, it's there's a bunch of like Facebook groups that are like, the idea is that it's hyper local. It's just your neighborhood. You can join this group, and then people post in the group like, you know, here's this thing that I have that I don't want anymore, and rather than throw it away, I'm gonna see if anybody in our neighborhood wants it. So it's, you know, it's the idea of like, you know, keeping things local. It's like, you know, environmentally conservative, and it you know, builds community, and it saves people money, and it's just nice. And people like, you know, offer up things. People will ask for things, and so I like, on a whim, I was like, hey, this is maybe a long shot, but does anybody have like an old amp that they no longer use? Because I just got a guitar, and I was hoping to see if I could get one. And somebody did, and so I have a little practice amp. It's actually a bass amp, but I just turned the bass knob all the way down so that it's not super bassy.
Nice.
But it works. It's great, yeah. And I can confirm that the guitar does work. So that's
nice.
Cool. But where the video game part of this comes in, Sam, have you heard of the game Rocksmith?
I have not.
Okay, so Rocksmith came out, I want to say like 2012, 2013 originally, and then there was a 2014 edition. And anyway, the idea of Rocksmith is, what if Guitar Hero, but with a real guitar? So basically, you get a special cable that is on one end a 1/4-inch like instrument cable, and on the other end a USB. And you plug it in your computer or your console or whatever.
Great.
And it recognizes the notes that you're playing, and it is literally a teaching tool to teach you how to play guitar, and you do it by playing along to like famous songs. And
that is so cool.
Yeah, this is a game that I've been like aware of for forever, but I never had like a super strong interest in learning guitar, or, you know, I didn't have a guitar either. So like, but as soon as I did get the guitar, I was like, oh, I can play Rocksmith now, because the video game nerd in me was like, ooh, I can do this. That's neat.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I downloaded Rocksmith onto my computer, and there's also a ton of like, this game's been around for like 10 years at this point. I think they just stopped selling it, but you can get it on the internet because it's the internet.
What?
And there's a huge community of. No, I just downloaded it from a place where I didn't spend money on it, but it's not available anymore, so I feel fine about it.
So do I. Yeah, no, that's fine. If they're not wanting to make money off of it, then they're not going to make money off of it.
Yeah. The most recent iteration of Rocksmith is called Rocksmith Plus, and it's a subscription service, and apparently it is worse in every way to the original, and also it's very expensive. It's like $20 a month.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, nobody likes it, and everybody still plays Rocksmith 2014. But yeah, so I downloaded Rocksmith and got it all installed, and there's also a huge community online of people who still play this game and who make custom songs for the game. So you can I went online and downloaded a bunch of fan-made Coheed and Cambria tracks and Foo Fighters and Beatles and all sorts of stuff. So I've got an expanded library of the game, and I haven't really started the game yet, but I got it set up and made sure that my guitar was working and the cable was working and everything, and went through the very beginning tutorials. It's really cool because it's not just a game. It is explicitly to teach you how to play guitar, and there are videos that it walks you through every basic step of the process. So it's here's how you tune your guitar, and then it's here's how you hold your guitar, here's how you hold it if you're sitting or if you're standing, and here's how you hold the pick, and and then it goes through try learning this song, which I haven't actually started trying to learn any songs yet because I haven't had a chance to sit down and do this bit, but it's from what I understand, it has a kind of dynamic difficulty system where it adjusts the song based on how skilled you've become on the guitar so far. So you might start with a song and it'll you won't have to play every single note in the song the same way you would play a song on easy on Guitar Hero, where it's it's not all the notes, but it's an approximation of it, and then they increase it, and then but it's I think it kind of does it all automatically. It judges how good you are at certain things and adjusts it and makes the songs harder as you go on, and it suggests here's a good you can have it sort all the songs in your library based on here are the ones that we think would be good for you to play now based on your skill level, and then it'll
wow.
So anyway, it's very, very cool, and I'm excited to actually sit down and get into it because it's just such a cool idea, and
that's fascinating.
Yeah, because I feel I don't know, it's hard to learn an instrument in general, especially if you're just doing it on your own by yourself. I feel it's I could sit down and watch a bunch of YouTube videos and learn how to play guitar, and plenty of people have done it that way, but I feel this is going to be much more engaging for me personally, and I feel I'm much more likely to stick with it if it's in this cool gamified way, and I'm also kind of being guided through it personally. It's all a virtual fake coach or whatever, but it's still it's a lot cheaper than actually paying for guitar lessons or whatever. And
I like cool. That is really cool. Yeah,
and also you get to play along to the backing tracks from actual songs as opposed to
that's sweet.
Playing by yourself or something. It feels more satisfying in that way.
Or do what I did when I was teaching myself how to play guitar and just have music on your iPod and have one headphone in and just try and follow along.
Yes, old-fashioned Rocksmith.
Yeah, old-fashioned Rocksmith, otherwise known as my iPod.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am excited about that. This is the beginning of a new journey for me. I don't know how, maybe I'll get into it and decide that I'm not actually into it, and then I'll give the guitar to somebody else or whatever. But for now, I'm hopeful. I'm excited. I want to, I don't know, just the guitar showed up in my life, and I was I've gotten really excited about it immediately, and this is a cool thing that I'm excited because I've wanted to play music again for a long time because I haven't played music regularly since sophomore year of high school, because after that I was done with band, and I miss playing music, and I would like to get back into that, and I've wanted to try something other than saxophone, which is what I did in high school and middle school, and so I got a mandolin for Christmas a couple years ago because I asked for one, and I was that'd be cool. And then I just never really got into it because it was, I don't know. There's so many when you're switching from like a woodwind instrument to a string instrument, it's a very different experience. And not knowing anybody who plays the mandolin and not taking lessons and just kind of trying to learn from like books and online and stuff, it takes a lot more like concerted effort and like time and stuff. And I guess I just never really set aside the time to get into that. Maybe I will eventually, but I like the fact that, doing guitar there's so many more resources out there for learning guitar. It's such a larger community. And there's video games for it, which is especially cool to me.
Yes.
So
I love that you have been able to like just access so much of the world just through the lens of video games. And that like that's like like I feel like it was for like you just started with just games. And then, like, from games you went to, like, Beat Saber for, like, fitness and stuff. And now you're doing Rocksmith for learning an instrument. It's just, like, it always surprises me, but also doesn't surprise me at all that, like, you can do all these things in video games and that you're the one that I'm learning these things from.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love it. Video games are cool, and it's not just Minecraft, y'all. It's not just Pac-Man. It's not Pokemon. It's not Call of Duty.
It's also Star Wars Battlefront.
It is all those things. It's also Star Wars Battlefront. Yeah,
Yeah.
You've got it.
Come on.
It's those things and Star Wars Battlefront, and that's it.
That's it. That's all you got.
Yeah. Yeah. I love video games. I don't know if you knew that, but
what?
They're pretty cool.
Oh.
Well, anyway, yeah, that's what I've been up to this past couple weeks.
Sweet.
Is mouse video game and guitar video game. Which it's funny to me that like right before I found the guitar, for the last couple weeks before then, I had been trying to like get into playing like Guitar Hero and Rock Band again.
You had,
I had that, because I had that old like Wii guitar from my friend, but it wasn't quite
just working, a wee little guitar.
And so I'd like what?
Just a wee little guitar.
It's just a Wii guitar. Yeah, and so I was like on the end of that because like the guitar controller itself wasn't working super well, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna have to find a new guitar instrument, like guitar controller or something. And then I found an actual guitar, and I was like, oh, maybe this is a sign.
It's a sign from the universe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, no, time to upgrade, time to move on and get into the play a different guitar game.
From Rock Band to Rocksmith.
Rock Band to Rocksmith to Rock
Jones.
What?
Jones. I don't know. I was going other last names.
Yeah, I was like, there's a joke in here somewhere probably, but I couldn't come up with it.
Yeah.
So, thanks for backing me up on that.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay. Well, with that, I guess let's move on to what's new and upcoming in the world of Star Wars, or what's happening in Star Wars right now. We have only one episode left of the Acolyte now.
This is true.
Yeah. So it's been a couple weeks since we recorded, so there's been some new episodes.
Yeah, it's been episodes 6 and 7 since we've last recorded.
Yes. Yeah, so 5 was the one where all the Jedis got massacred by Darth Teeth.
Yeah, and it was also one of the best on-screen, best live-action lightsaber fight I've seen maybe since Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, honestly, it was amazing. Yeah. And so then, I guess in the last couple episodes, we got some more, like, we got like one episode was like an extended flashback, basically, going back to, the night that the witch's, like, temple or lair or whatever burned down, and, May supposedly died, and Osha got taken with the Jedi and all that. So we got some more revelations there, and... Yeah. What did you think about like all that backstory stuff, Sam? What are you feeling about?
Oh man, it was. I loved how they took basically an episode, because that was like kind of shot for shot episode 3 of the show, because that was originally from like Osha's perspective, and now
the whole thing was through Osha's perspective. Yeah,
and now we're seeing it through Soul's perspective. And
it felt very Back to the Future too, like like we're going back to the events of the first movie,
right?
Anyway,
and I was watching, I think it was Screen Crush was doing their like everything you missed in this episode of blah blah blah, and apparently there was a Akira Kurosawa movie, I forget which one, but it does that.
Oh, where it's Rashomon.
Yeah, Rashomon. Okay, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Rashomon is established the formula of, like, seeing one story from multiple perspectives. That's, like, it pioneered that idea.
Yeah.
At least in film it did. So like, going back through the same event multiple times, and, like, you see it from a different character perspective, and they, like, interpreted things differently, and you don't necessarily know what's the thing that actually happened, and it's kind of about the nature of memory and kind of that kind of thing. So yeah, it definitely felt very Rashomon in that sense. Yeah.
It's not a Star Wars project if there's not a Kurosawa reference somewhere.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was cool, and like it was also just like very heartbreaking to kind of realize that like this Jedi, because I feel like this episode was kind of like the change of perspective and like I almost want to say like deconstruction of like what happened that May has already had and that we are seeing now. We're like having that experience along with these characters, kind of realizing like what they've gone through and how like what we thought one character was, what we thought this group of people was, turns out when we peel back the curtain and look at this from a different perspective, is very different in reality than what we thought, what we were initially presented with. I thought that was a really cool way of kind of, instead of like having Soul just like have a teary confession or whatever to May and Osha, instead we just watch it happen from his perspective and being like, oh, I thought you were like this amazing, wonderful, like perfect Jedi, and all these other Jedis were fools, but actually, no, this is your fault.
Yeah.
And like
Soul killed their mom. So
yeah. And then picked his favorite twin to save.
I mean, yeah, he kind of did. But it wasn't like it was clearly like a decision he had to make. It wasn't like it was presented as this is a no-win scenario. You have to save one of them, but you can only save one of them. And so he chose Osha,
he still chose, though. I mean, it was still like...
That's no true, yes.
Yeah. He still discarded one of them.
Yeah. It was... I knew that at some point that we were going to see... I didn't know necessarily they're going to like show the whole series of events again, but I assume, I knew we were going to go back and learn more about kind of what actually happened that night and get more information about it, because there was a lot of kind of blanks that still needed to be filled in. I was surprised by the fact that, like, I guess going into it, my assumption or my thought was that we were going to get some insight into like how the temple actually like blew up, because I felt like, when I watched that first episode of the flashback, I was like, that seems weird that May breaking one lantern in a hallway like led to the whole place blowing up. Like, that seemed weird and suspicious to me, and they never really explained that, although there was one moment when they were like they like the place they're living in is actually like an old mine, so maybe that's their like it's full of flammable stuff or something.
Maybe it's a coal mine and the coal went up in flames. Something which then why would you have oil lamps everywhere? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that still felt weird. Like, it still felt like, this one lantern started a fire and then the whole place blew up. Like, that was a little bit like, huh. That I thought there was going to be some revelation about like, oh, the Jedi actually blew up the temple like on purpose. I thought that's what they were going to reveal. And then also like another weird bit was the like how all of the other witches like I guess died because like there was like the other mom, the Dothraki, is that what they're called? The spiky haired. No, Zabrak. What's Dothraki? What is that? Hold on.
I've never heard that word in my life.
I feel like that's from a different. Hold on, I gotta look that up because I feel like I embarrassed myself. Dothraki is from Game of Thrones. Okay, never mind. There are people from Game of Thrones. Anyway, I don't know. I don't even watch Game of Thrones. How did that happen? Anyway,
how did that happen?
My brain was like, I don't know. Zabrak and Dothrak sound similar.
Oh, okay.
So anyway.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, just yeah. So she like is possessing. I love the fact that we did get a Wookiee Jedi fight scene.
Oh my gosh.
Because like he gets killed early on, but now we got in this flashback we finally got to see, what's his name, Master something, Kelnaka. Yes, we saw Kelnaka get to have an awesome Jedi fight. He was possessed and fighting the other Jedi, but still it was terrifying because he's like he has the powers of a Jedi, but also he's super duper strong because he's a Wookiee.
He's a Wookiee. Yeah,
which was awesome. What a cool fight sequence that was. And then eventually, Master Indara like comes in and kind of snaps.
She comes out looking the best in this whole episode. She's like kind of, other than like she couldn't like keep her team under control. Like that was kind of her big sin was like that she just couldn't control her team.
Yeah,
but like beyond that,
I
don't think beyond that I don't think she had any. She didn't really have any wrongdoing beyond just like. She didn't step up in time.
Yeah, and I mean, I do still feel, sympathetic towards Soul and his like, we need to take care of these kids thing. But at the same time, it does feel very sort of like elitist or racist or something. The way that they talk about like, oh, they're gonna hurt these kids because they do things
very
differently.
Colonizer-y. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It was
like our way of interpreting the Force is the only valid way, and if you're trying to do the Force in a different way, then you're wrong, and everything you do is bad, and you should be treated as a villain.
Yeah, I like the fact that there's not. It's never like fully black and white in Acolyte. There's there it's not like a clear like, oh, this person is the villain. I mean, other than like Darth Teeth because he murders people, but like
yeah.
But like, the idea that like it's not like the Jedi are completely in the wrong or the witches are completely in the wrong or something. It's I think it's valid to be like May and Osha are different people who should be free to choose their own paths in life, and if Osha wants to go become a Jedi and experience life differently, that's reasonable, and if May wants to still be a witch, that's also reasonable, and those two things can coexist. But it's a world in which the cultural and religious like systems in place, there's conflict there, and it's treated as if you have to be one or the other, and there can only be one right answer, and that's kind of what the that's what the problem is it's
right.
Anyway, but yeah, overall I'm very interested to see where the final episode goes, because I feel like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I don't even. How did the last episode end? Was the last episode, was it just the flashback, or was there another? The
entire thing was the flashback.
Okay, and that was the most recent episode,
right? And like it ended with like, Indara and Soul deciding to like lock in their story of like, this is all May's fault, and not accept responsibility to Osha's face or to the council.
Yeah, to the fact that
their recklessness caused all this.
Yeah, the Jedi's recklessness, led to all this destruction, and that May killed a woman. Sorry, not May. Soul killed a woman, and
that Soul killed their mom. Yeah, not just any woman. It's like, I killed your mom like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, their actions led to the death of the leader of the coven and also the rest of the coven, which that was a little weird to me. That like,
I wonder if maybe they're still alive. I don't know. Like,
like it wasn't super clear. Like, I mean, they're all collapsed on the ground at the end of the episode, so I guess it's implied that they're dead, but we don't see them like their bodies are still there and intact. They look fine, and it's just like, I don't know if they're like, they were just like when Master Indara like ejected the one witch from Kelnaka's mind that like severed the connection to all the other ones, and they like all died as a result of that. I think that's the implication, but it's not entirely clear, you know, what actually happened, and you know, who is alive still or isn't, and you know, did their like spirit go somewhere or something, or I don't know. It's all very, there's a lot of like unknowns at this point still, and I'm hoping we get some more answers about that in the final episode, but yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious to see where all it goes. Yeah, this show's been really cool. It's like I feel like I'll have to watch the final episode and then take some time to think about it more before I've kind of come to like what my final opinion on this show is. You know, I feel like it's I like it overall still a lot. I think it's great generally. I think that I don't know. I think I'm gonna need to take some more time to think about it. But I think that's what's cool about it, is that it's a show that you can talk about, and there's a lot of like nuance to it and things to discuss, and it's just a cool era of Star Wars that we haven't seen before in live action, and it's great.
One other thing I want to talk about before we move on, well, two things. One small one, at the end of episode 6 we see Osha put on Darth Teeth's helmet.
Yes.
And the episode ends with like a very Darth Vader style, like breathing in the helmet.
Yes.
Which I thought was really cool. It was kind of a really cool like thing. But the thing I really want to talk about is episode 7 like kind of talks about this idea of this thing called a vergence, which we first hear about in Phantom Menace. And so
in the Force.
Vergence in the Force, yes. So based on like my reading of what I've kind of like and like watching YouTube videos about this and stuff after the fact, a vergence is basically like a hyper concentration of force energy, or like whether it's usually like a place is a vergence. So like the planet that they're on, the witch's planet, is itself a vergence, and also like the time of year, like with this eclipse itself being very like potent with the force, that thing is a vergence, and like taking advantage of that is what allowed May and Osha to be created, right?
Yes.
But then a lot of people are online have been saying that Anakin himself is a vergence, not Tatooine, but Anakin is a vergence in the Force. Like the Force wanted Anakin to be born, and therefore Anakin was born.
I mean, it's definitely, it's a similar idea to whatever happened with Anakin. Him being like I think it's another. I mean, we don't. Again, we're still missing some information, but it definitely seems like it's a similar thing to what happened with Anakin, where it was basically a virgin birth, where he was like was brought into existence by the Force, and May and Osha are similar. There was one really interesting scene, one detail in the most recent episode during that extended flashback, where they get like their blood sample results of May and Osha, and they're like, these two people they're not just like twins or clones even, they're like the same person. They're like, this is one person split into two beings somehow, is how they describe it. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, are they actually like, what does this mean?
That's wild.
It feels, my first thought was like, this feels very Kingdom Hearts to me. Like Sora and Roxas, like heartless and nobodies sort of thing. But like, I don't know. Like, what does that mean? Like,
but also, is this like a Force dyad kind of thing? Like,
that's the other thing I was thinking about, was the sequel trilogy
like,
stuff with
like
Rey and
Kylo.
Speaking of Kylo, there's been a lot of talk online about like the Knights of Ren, and how maybe the idea is that Darth Teeth, who we still keep calling him, is the first Knight of Ren, basically, or like the proto Knight of Ren.
Or he's Ren, or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. It's very interesting. It's very cool. Lots of still like questions to be answered, and I'm curious to see how many of them and to what extent will be answered by the final episode.
Do we have a runtime for the final episode? Because how are they going to tie all these things together?
There's a lot. It's feeling like a lot, especially since this show feels like on an episode by episode level, it kind of goes kind of slowly. It like takes its time, which I think is fine. But when it introduces this much like lore and this many questions, I'm a little worried that like how much are we going to be left kind of hanging by this, and what if we don't get another season? And like I want to know what happens. I want to know what the heck a Vergence is and what their deal is, and I want to know who Darth Teeth is and this whole like situation.
The runtime is supposed to be just as long as episode 7, so 43 minutes.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing online. I don't know how true that is, but it was posted 4 days ago by a fan page, and also on Reddit.
Yeah.
So
I'm on the back on the Vergence thing. I'm on the Vergence page for Wikipedia. Let's see. Yoda said in a Jedi Holocron at one point, locations exist where the Force is more sharply focused, but dangerous these places can be. Vergences, they are called, and should not be explored without training and permission. The Jedi Temple on Coruscant has one such. The Living Sea of Gazian, another. Jeddah as well. So yeah, they do generally talk about them as places. And then from this most recent episode of The Acolyte, Torben asks, what's a Vergence? Indara says, a concentration of Force energy centered around a location. And Sol says, a Vergence could create life like what we see on this planet. It's a power that should be studied, protected. Nothing could be more important to the Jedi. Yeah, so they talk about it as like the planet itself, like it was decimated like not too long ago, and there was like no life on the planet, but because it was a Vergence, a bunch of life came back. And Sam has a look on his face. What is your?
Do you know
what's your
why
wild theory?
It's not a wild theory. Do you know why the life was decimated on this planet?
I don't.
They mentioned a hyperspace disaster.
Oh, that's the thing that from the High Republic books, right?
Yeah, that's the opening book of the Light of the Jedi, the first book of the High Republic era. It there is basically space pirates blow up this ship in hyperspace, and debris from a very large ship traveling at hyperspace flies into a bunch of planets.
Yeah,
and decimates them. And so that should have wiped out everything on this planet. And yet
it's
there's still life. It's
forest.
Giant forest and a community of people there. And they're so they're there exploring how is this planet still alive after getting hit by this by
a big explosion. By
an explosion
by an unintentional WMD.
Traveling in hyperspace. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I do remember hearing them be like, oh right, that was in the books, wasn't it? Because I still haven't read Light of the Jedi yet.
I've read most of the. I know the premise. Light of the Jedi. I have not finished it.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Some of the other Vergences from throughout Star Wars, there was a dark side Vergence on Dagobah and Return of the was it Return of the Jedi or was it Empire?
That was Empire.
It's where
that was the cave.
It's where Luke goes into the cave and sees himself in the Vader helmet. That sort of thing. Yeah, that's
the first Vergence we ever see, historically, not chronologically in the timeline, but back in 1980, whenever Empire came out.
Yeah, I want to say 1981, maybe.
I think so. I think it's 81.
Whatever. Yeah, so there's that. It says the individual Anakin Skywalker was a Vergence. So that's interesting. I wonder if if Mortis is a Vergence.
Oh, I imagine it is. I think the world of Mortis has to be, just because of how
it's a very, very powerful Vergence of some kind.
Yes.
It's it's a super Vergence.
Yeah.
A Vergence sometimes described as a Force Nexus or a Locus, according to Wikipedia. So I love the fact that we're not only getting a lot of really cool character stuff and also getting a lot of cool kind of commentary on the Jedi and the way that the Force is thought about throughout the galaxy and by different groups, but we're also getting lots of cool lore stuff and Force things and mystery, and it's cool. The Acolyte is offering a lot of stuff for discussion, and it's really fun. It's great.
Yeah. Okay, this page is saying the ethereal world of Mortis was the fulcrum of the galaxy and the Force.
Wow, that's okay. So,
yeah,
cool. Is that on the Mortis page or is that on the Vergence page?
That was the top of the
Oh, I see.
page.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the Vergence page.
But that's like it is citing. That line is straight from the Star Wars, like StarWars.com.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
For their like StarWars.com's own Wikipedia, their databank for Mortis. So
cool. Sim, I'm wondering, what do you? I mean, this is a whole can of worms. We don't necessarily have to get into this now. We could talk about it maybe once the show's over. But like,
sure.
There's so much backlash against the Acolyte online. Like, it's. I mean, is it? I feel like there's a couple things. I mean, part of it I think is definitely just sexism and racism. Like, you know, the fact that it's a show starring mostly people of color, and a lot of them are women, and that the main character is a black woman, and you know,
with lesbian moms. Yeah.
Yes. Plenty of dumb accusations of Star Wars went woke or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
when Star Wars has always been like radical left, anti-war,
it's always been anti-imperialist, anti-fascist. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally all it's ever been. So I don't know why people are getting mad now.
Yeah, I think it's that, and I think it's also I've seen some people be upset about the fact that the show is kind of showing the Jedi to be like imperfect and to have done some bad things, and they're like they've made the Jedi the bad guys, and I'm like, did you watch the prequels?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you? Yeah, that's like the point of the prequels is the fact that the Jedi were like flawed and corrupt. You know, for all the good that they did, they still, you know, they collapsed for a reason because of their hubris and
people are getting mad that but Mace Windu and Ki-Adi-Mundi said that the Sith have been extinct for over a millennium, but Ki-Adi-Mundi was there when this happened. That's the point. That there was an intentional cover-up.
Yeah, like this is
like a lot of the backlash to the Acolyte that's not rooted in racism is just a lack of media literacy.
Yeah, it's just
like you don't get
the time to think about it further than like
it's then
good
said
guys
it,
and
therefore
bad
it's
guys,
true.
and I like the Jedi because they're the good guys, and like and I think what's cool about Star Wars is you can choose to like, you know, it works for kids as a basic like good versus evil story, and it's great in that way, and then you can also look at it, you know, on a deeper level and look at all the, you know, the kind of the political and cultural machinations of it, and the kind of layers that talk about systemic corruption and politics, and you know, and about the idea of it's not just about good versus evil, it's about balance between, as we talked about before, selfishness and selflessness, and like, and how, you know, viewing things as purely black and white can be detrimental, and like, so like Star Wars, as we said on this podcast before, Star Wars is for everyone, and I think that the Acolyte is leaning more into the, you know, the more kind of complex and I guess sometimes controversial aspects of Star Wars, but like in not controversial in the sense that like they haven't done this before, but just in the sense that it's more, it requires more like thought and insight, and like just, you know, it's a more complex way of looking at the galaxy of Star Wars, that is, I think, super cool and important, and some of the things that I love about Star Wars. I also love the, you know, good versus evil. I love seeing, you know, bad guys get blown up, and I like seeing laser sword fights and stuff. Like, Star Wars it's all of those things, and I think it's just a lot of the backlash here is people just getting upset that the Acolyte is not fitting what they like about Star Wars, which is is also valid. You know, if that's not what you want out of Star Wars, you don't have to like this, but also you shouldn't come after it for being like not what you like. Like, it's still you know.
Yeah, there's no need to dunk on this just because it's not your cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the way that people are getting, I mean, this happens with a lot of different media, but I think Star Wars in particular is very like, you know, so many people grew up with this series and this universe, and it's very personally important to a lot of people. And if you have a particular understanding or vision of this story and these stories and these characters and this world that you grew up with, I can understand why people have such strong emotional reactions to things, but I think it sucks that it so often comes in the form of like gatekeeping and being like, Star Wars has to be this one way, and or like, you know, this, you know, you don't have to like the Acolyte. I'm not saying that you have to,
sure,
you know, think it's a great show, but like, you know, acting like it is destroying what Star Wars is a very like narrow-minded view of this franchise and this world, you know.
Yeah, and also, like it or not, like Star Wars isn't like what it, like the stuff that's on the screen. That's Star Wars. Like it's not destroying Star Wars. That's it. Like this is just
Star Wars.
This is Star Wars. Star Wars isn't what exists in your head. Star Wars is what's on the screen. Like that's Star Wars. You know,
there's definitely like a further conversation to be had around that idea of like,
sure,
you know, at what point are you like? I feel like we all, especially in, you know, stories or franchises or whatever that we love, when it goes like off the rails in a way that we don't like, we maybe like are like, you know what, my headcanon is that those movies didn't exist, or those stories are like, I choose to ignore those because it doesn't fit what I love about this, and that's fine, you know.
Sure,
as long as you're not being like, you know, this is wrong objectively and nobody can defend this.
Like, I didn't like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, but like, I'm not gonna like make fun of you for it or like say that you're a bad person because you like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like, I didn't like it. I still like the original 3 Indiana Jones movies, but like, that's still also an Indiana Jones movie. I can't deny that. Like, I can playfully deny it, but I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna fight you about it. I'm like, nah, it's not real. Yeah, no. Exactly. I'll be playful about it, but I'm not gonna like gun to my head. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, it's definitely an Indiana Jones movie. I just didn't like it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't take a gun to your head to be like, yes,
no, obviously,
I just know that image was funny. The image was just funny to me.
Yeah,
like, oh my god, yes, okay, it is an Indiana Jones movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
give me my family back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's just a boy.
He's just a boy. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yep, lots of things to talk about.
Lots of things to talk about. I have more thoughts, but they're not necessary. So.
Cool. We'll have plenty more time to talk about this in the coming episodes, and
indeed
after the series is over, and once they talk about whether there's going to be a second season. I haven't looked into that. Maybe they've said stuff about that. Maybe they haven't, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I think it's time for us to move on to our main segment where we're talking about one episode of the Clone Wars this week. We're talking about Clone Wars Season 4, Episode 4, Shadow Warrior. It's a Jar Jar episode, Sam. It's a Jar Jar episode.
It's actually a good Jar Jar episode, not gonna lie.
I enjoyed this episode a lot. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to... Oh, first of all, Sam, where does it take place in the timeline, please?
20 PBY.
20?
Right?
Still.
Look. Yep, still.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't we don't hit 19 until halfway through season 5. So,
well, yeah, it's gonna be a while. I still can't believe we're in season 4 already. It doesn't feel like we've that's nuts to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how did we get here? That was so fast. Maybe the content isn't as unlimited as we thought. Oh.
Maybe the real content was the friends we made along the way, Jack.
No, the content is Star Wars, Sam. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's what's on the screen, not what's in your head. Got it.
Yeah, Sam, we just talked about that. I'm gatekeeping your definition of Star Wars, Sam. No! Your definition of unlimited content.
That's not true! That's impossible!
That's impossible! Okay. Before we start, I'm going to fill up my water bottle again real quick.
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to do beverage break.
Okay.
This isn't going as planned. Nothing to see here.
All right. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, have you heard of these before? These Ben & Jerry's, they make like, it's just edible cookie dough mixes.
Oh my god.
It's like a resealable bag. Yeah, this is the peanut butter one, so it's peanut butter chocolate chip cookie dough and mini peanut butter cups in a bag, and they're like it's just snackable cookie dough, and it's just great.
Jack, don't tell me this.
I'm gonna get diabetic immediately by looking at it.
I already feel that way.
Oh, my heart is racing already. Okay, Shadow Warrior.
Great.
The moral of this episode is, who a person truly is cannot be seen with the eye. Alright, an impenetrable defense. As war continues to fracture the galaxy, planets become pawns in a dangerous chess game. One planet in peril is Naboo, where suffering and civil unrest threaten once friendly relations between the people on the surface and the underwater dwelling Gungans. Rumors that the Gungans plan to aid the Separatists in an attack on Theed force Senator Padme Amidala home, accompanied by Jedi General Anakin Skywalker. Right. Before we get started, I wanted to just note, like, in the first shot of this episode, like after the summary, we see them flying around in a ship. It's such a weird, cool-looking ship.
I thought it was the dumbest ship I've seen.
It does look very silly.
It looks like a submarine that flies.
It's very weird. It's got the kind of the long tail thing that the Naboo starfighters have, but also it's got this really tall hump where the pilot sits.
It's like
where
a tower for a cockpit.
Yeah, and then below on either side is like little rooms where like that's where Padme is. But it's such a weird, weird shape.
Let's make the pilot like a very obvious target. How about that?
I feel like it is very silly and weird, but I feel like it fits the Naboo aesthetic in terms of their their ships. It's very it's long and bulbous and weird and yeah. Anyway, that was kind of cool and funny. Anyway. After Anakin and Padme's arrival in Theed, they travel to the Gungan territory near Lake Paonga? Paonga? I don't know. And seek out their old friend, Jar Jar, who confirms the troubling rumors that Boss Leone intends to march on Theed and take them to Otoh, where Leone is indeed attempting to rally his troop leaders for the impending conflict, accompanied by his new minister, Richelieu. When Anakin and Padme attempt to talk to Leone, and he refuses to abandon his plans, the two notice that he appears to not be himself. The cause is a mind control necklace, which Anakin telekinetically snatches from Leone's neck, making him recover, and Leone confirms that the necklace was given to him by Richelieu. Liu is in fact secretly in league with Count Dooku, who has promised him the freedom of his people in exchange for aiding the Separatists in invading Naboo. Leone confronts Liu about his treachery, but Richelieu uses mystical powers to try and control him once more. When Anakin and Padme come to Leone's aid, he unleashes a squad of commando droids on them, stabs Leone, and escapes the underwater city. With Leone lying unconscious, it appears that the attack on Naboo cannot be called off anymore. Not until Jar Jar inadvertently dons Leone's crown of office, making Anakin and Padme note a striking resemblance to the boss. Anakin therefore hatches a plan...
Pause. What? This was so dumb. Like, I don't know. This just felt like not vaguely racist. Just like all Gungans look the same, like.
Oh, to be fair, like if you do look at all the other Gungans, Jar Jar and this one do look very similar. Like you can tell a difference.
Sure. I mean, sure, yeah, but like, I don't know. That was my initial thought. It was like, oh.
Sam's not having it.
I don't like it. Anyway.
I don't know. I was fine with it, but anyway. Yeah. Also, it was funny the way that they're like when he inadvertently puts on the hat. I'm like he trips and falls and then picks up the hat again, and as he's picking up, decides to put it on his head for some reason. So it's not like it's not like it falls on his head. He just puts it on, and they're like, huh.
It's more like he just absentmindedly puts it on his head. Is more what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, Anakin therefore hatches a plan to make the Gungan army stand off the attack by having Jar Jar pretend to be Leone. On the surface, Richelieu tries to salvage his plans by telling the assembled Gungan warriors that Leone is dead. The disguised Jar Jar appears just in time, and although nervous, he makes a good impersonation of Leone and denounces Liu as a traitor. Liu manages to escape, however, but as Anakin pursues him, a Separatist troop carrier arrives, and the battle droid crew addresses Jar Jar, since they believe that everything is still according to Dooku's plan. Forced to maintain his role, Jar Jar and General Tarpals board the ship to help in coordinating the attack, only to find out that the leader of the droid army is none other than General Grievous himself. This is such a fun,
this is wild.
The idea.
I did not expect to get both Dooku and Grievous in a Jar Jar episode.
Yes! So Jar Jar shows up, he's pretending to be the Gungan president, basically, and then walks into a room and Grievous is there, and now it's Jar Jar trying to not die while sitting with Grievous.
In Grievous' office.
To be somebody else. It's so funny. It's such a, I love this premise. It's so silly. Flustered and terrified, Jar Jar desperately stalls for time and sends Tarpals out to inform Padme about this development. Padme advises him to try and capture Grievous by shutting down his droid escort before Grievous can note this desperate deception. Grievous eventually becomes highly irritated by the apparent Leonie's sudden hesitation in conducting the assault and figures out that he is an imposter. Jar Jar escapes to the outside just in time to escape Grievous's rage and for Grievous to notice that his army has been disabled. Which, by the way, Tarpals is standing there and he's like, "Your droids are disabled, Grievous," and then pushes one and it reveals that there's a whole line. Like, I like the idea that he set up all these droids in a line just so he could do the domino thing in front of him. Like,
yes,
that was funny to me.
Wait, has that happened before? Has there been like a time where like there's been a bunch of like just like droids lined up in a row?
I feel like there has been. I can't remember what it was, but
and I
yes,
think it was another Jar Jar episode where that happened.
You know, I would not be surprised. It's very.
Wait, is this a recurring bit Jar Jar episodes that like we just knock over droids standing in like dominoes? Is that like just a bit in Jar Jar episodes? I like it.
Hope so. I like that. Yeah.
I'm gonna be looking for it now.
Okay. Okay. The Gungans. Okay. The Gungans surround Grievous, who fights back, fatally stabbing Tarpals in the process. With the last of his strength, however, Tarpals shocks Grievous into submission, enabling his capture before expiring. Okay, we got 2 sentences of this in the summary, but this fight was nuts. This is like... So, first of all, the idea that, like, a bunch of Gungans would be able to beat General Grievous was like... I was like, this isn't going to go well at all, because I didn't remember how this went. But how it happens is... Like, he starts fighting one-on-one with a couple of them, but he's, like, fully surrounded the whole time. And then he, like, goes one-on-one with Tarpals for a bit, and then Tarpals gets stabbed, but, like, you know, as he's standing there and, like Grievous has his guard down, he, like, shoves his spear up into, like, the chest cavity of Grievous's suit, basically. And then Grievous is, like, stuck there on the ground, like, basically impaled. And then he's like, "Now!" And then Jar Jar and all the other Gungans throw their little, like, bomb things at him, and, like, it's brutal. Like, the fact that the Gungans were able to take down General Grievous is so cool and funny to me, and it's honestly, like, kind of horrific. The sight of, like, he's impaled on the ground and being constantly bombarded with electricity bombs, and then he's just lying there, and then a bunch of other Gungans run up and stab the other part, like, his arms into the ground, so that he's, like, you know, pinned to the ground, basically, like a big bug. It's so, like, shockingly, like, aggressive and dark for a Jar Jar episode, you know?
Yeah. And I love that the Gungans got this done.
Yes! It was the Gungans that took down Grievous for the first time. Like,
wild.
So cool and weird, and I loved it. Okay. With the last of his strength, however, Tarpals shocks Grievous into submission, enabling his capture before expiring. Rip Tarpals. Upon learning of Grievous' capture, Darth Sidious commands Dooku, hidden in an ancient Naboo structure, to lure Anakin into a trap to take him hostage for a prisoner exchange. By the way, again, it's so... like, what are the odds that, like, that Dooku and Grievous are both on Naboo? It's, like, so, like... I don't know. That's just because we almost never see those two in the same place.
Sidious is like Palpatine's there, but I mean he's from Naboo. But like
he's not there. He appears in a hologram.
Oh, right.
That would be nuts. But yeah, no,
that would be wild.
I don't know. There was just like so many like potentially like war-ending things happen in this one Jar Jar episode.
Yeah,
it's so funny to me.
But the fact that we fumbled all of them.
Yeah. Honestly, the Gungans did a great job. Like, man. Anyway, upon learning of Grievous' capture, Darth Sidious commands Dooku, hidden in an ancient Naboo structure, to lure Anakin into a trap to take him hostage for a prisoner exchange. In the meantime, Anakin chases after Lu, but is slowed by 2 probe droids who shoot his Kadu mount. Upon Dooku's command, however, Lu lures Anakin to the structure where he meets Dooku. After killing Lu as the naive fool he was, and after revealing the Sith's hand in the first invasion of Naboo more than 10 years ago, which, again, like a major lore drop, basically, in a Jar Jar episode. Like, yeah, we've been here the whole time, and the Sith control everything. You just don't know it. In this one-off Jar Jar episode. Like, right. Oh my god.
And then it's
so much happening.
And then it's just not addressed again.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, I guess we know that now. I mean, I guess, it was like 10 years ago, so they're like, I guess there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah. Hey, Zoro. What's up? Zoro's on Sam's desk again.
Hope he doesn't actually hang up the phone call. Zoro, what do you want?
Just to sit on your keyboard.
He is leaning against the microphone.
Oh, okay, well.
And sniffing my Gatorade.
So he needs those electrolytes.
Do you think they say? No, but his paw is on the microphone.
Zoro put his paw on the microphone and is staring in other directions.
Okay.
Anyway. Bye, Zoro. This has been a Zoro moment.
Thanks, Zoro.
Zoro moment. Okay. Yeah, after killing Liu as the naive fool he was and revealed... Okay. Dooku and his droid bodyguards confront Anakin in a fierce lightsaber duel, at which end Anakin is disarmed and shocked into unconsciousness. This is a cool little fight, by the way. Just like getting to see, Anakin 1v1 Dooku, but then of course the droids come up. And,
right.
But like even with all the droids, like Anakin very narrowly like loses this. 'Cause he like... he gets shocked by the droids over and over again, but he, again, being Anakin, being super powerful, just, like, shoves them off with the Force repeatedly. And then eventually Dooku just has to, like, Force choke him and shock him while he's in the air. And that's how he beats him. But,
and there was one point where, like, he just Force pushes all of these big old commando droids, like, while he's on all fours. Like, he doesn't even use... He's just, like, with his mind. Not with because usually like there's like extending your arms or something to like do the Force. He's just on all fours and like barely keeping it together and just like
he just inserts energy.
Yeah, he just like explodes the Force like in a radius around him.
Force explosion.
Yep.
Okay. Dooku contacts Padme, tortures Anakin in front of her, and gives her 1 hour to make her decision. Torn between her feelings for Anakin and her commitment to the welfare of the Republic, Padme finally agrees to make the switch. Despite the somberness of the deal, Jar Jar is lauded by Boss Leone and Queen Nayutne, I don't know, for his successful efforts in reestablishing peace between the Gungans and the Naboo. The end. Yay. So yeah, on this episode, the war could have ended, and instead, it didn't.
It didn't.
We got so close to winning the war, and then, yeah. Anyway. Jar Jar episode. Yeah. What a this was a fun, weird episode. Yeah.
Wild.
So many things happened. So many like there were like cool moments. There were like genuinely funny moments. Like I like the moment when like Jar Jar shows up in Grievous's like office and sits down, and like the first like 2 minutes he's just like kind of sitting there messing with his chair and like adjusting the height and stuff. That just it was such a small thing, but it was funny to me. I just like that.
I had a realization that I think Jar Jar, at least in the Clone Wars, is Star Wars Goofy.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, he gives
same sort of slapstick and like he has the same sort of like he looks like the dumb one, but is kind of weirdly wise at times.
Yeah, and always like pulls it out in the end.
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
Well, that was this episode.
Indeed.
Sam, do you have a favorite part of this episode?
I mean, there's a lot of good lightsaber fights, but I think I'm always a big fan of like being surprised by characters you don't expect to see in episodes. So like, oh, we got Dooku and Grievous and Palpatine all in this one episode that like I didn't expect to think anything of.
Yeah,
I think that was my favorite thing. It was like, oh, all the bad guys in one episode.
The delightful surprise. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. That was really cool. Yeah, I like that. I think I gotta say my favorite moment is just the Gunkins just totally going ham on Grievous and capturing him successfully. Like, what a brutal, savage moment. And just like, wow, these guys know what they're doing. Damn.
Yeah.
That was cool. Let's see. MVP. Which character? I mean, it's gotta be Jar Jar, right?
Absolutely, it's Jar Jar.
Yeah. Yeah. So, definitely. Like, I feel like, I don't know, he sort of bumbles his way through things, but it works out in the end, and he did good enough. And, like, there were definitely moments when I was like, Jar Jar could absolutely mess this up very badly, and I feel like there were times when I was like expecting that to happen, like like at the first time we see him like pretending to be Leone, he like is talking to a crowd and he's like, that guy's actually the bad guy, he betrayed us, go get him, and it like works out fine, and I'm like, huh, that was short. And then like the droid army shows up and I'm like, oh, I see, Jar Jar's gonna do something stupid here and something bad's gonna happen here, but in the end he ends up like getting out and doing everything correctly. Like he bumbles through it a little bit, but he's successful the whole time. So yeah, he definitely he deserves the MVP spot this time, definitely.
Absolutely.
Stats. Main character kills. We do see Grievous kill Tarpals. General Tarpals, the Gungan boy. So that's at least one confirmed kill. I think that's the only one we've got.
I think it is.
Definitively. So lost limbs. I don't think anybody loses any limbs. Surprisingly, not even Grievous loses any limbs, even though we don't count those. And I did not hear a Wilhelm scream this episode.
No, I didn't.
Damn.
No. Zorro's a fool.
Zorro's being a fool, crawling around Sam's desk.
Going after my power strip again.
No, not the power. Don't get zapped. You'll get electricity powers like that mouse in that video game that I played.
Except you're a cat. What do you have to say for yourself? What do you have to say? He's sniffing the microphone. All right.
Yeah.
That might come through. Might not. Who knows?
Thanks, Zoro.
Anyway. Thanks,
This
Zoro.
has been another Zoro moment.
Hell yeah.
More Star Wars is better Star Wars. How did this episode make the movies and the rest of Star Wars better, Sam?
We have been so close to finishing this war so many times.
Yeah. There have been so many moments where it's like, we almost captured Grievous, or we captured Grievous but then he got away, or we captured Grievous but then somebody else got captured and we had to do a prisoner exchange. I guess the war is going to keep going.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. It just keeps happening.
Yeah. I wonder if Padme wasn't the one to make the call, if Grievous would have stayed captured and the war would have been over.
Probably, yeah. Like, I mean,
like if it was Obi-Wan, it might like Obi-Wan's like the only one I think who might have, or Ahsoka. Those two are the only ones who like might have like said, no, we're gonna get Anakin back. Mm-hmm. I think if it was like if Rex was gonna make the call, or like Mace Windu or somebody, I feel like it would have been, let's fake a prisoner exchange, rescue Anakin, and kill Grievous all in one go.
Yeah, something like that, or just like a Anakin's prepared to die for the cause of the Republic, presumably.
Yeah,
so like,
and he'll find a way to get out. He always does.
Yeah. So like, yeah. So yeah, I think that just adding to the continued shenanigans of Grievous managing to wriggle his way out of things, and the war almost ending many times. That and I guess one other thing with it, again, I don't think it's really ever mentioned again, but I think it is still kind of narratively significant that Dooku like outright tells Anakin that like, yeah, we had a hand in what happened at Naboo 10 years ago. Like, the Sith have their claws in everything. We're in control, and you just don't know it. So it's just it's a major revelation, I would say, to them. Even if the show doesn't really talk about it anymore, because like we knew about it already, but anyway, although I think technically that was before, like right before Dooku was officially a Sith, right? Because that episode of Tales of the Jedi where he like kills
but I'm sure like
Yaddle.
Palpatine. Well, he was in communication with Palpatine.
Yes, he was. I just mean like he had like. I don't know if he was like official until he proven his loyalty by killing Yaddle and whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And it was also like part of what pushed him, like the final push for him to like go to the dark side officially was Qui-Gon dying, right?
Right.
Like that's got to be part of it. So anyway.
So he was at least tangentially involved.
Yes. All right. Well, that's our main segment. Do we have a voicemail? No.
Nope.
Okay. Well. It's been another fun time with my brother and his cat.
Yep. Thanks, Zoro.
Thanks, Zoro.
Zoro. I don't know where he went. He's hiding right now.
Damn.
Oh, nope, in the potty box. That's what we're doing. Yep, he's pooping.
He's pooping, everybody. He's pooping.
Yep.
Well, thank you all for joining us. If you'd like to join the discussion, leave a voicemail at 512-850-6653, and we might feature your comments, questions, or corrections on the podcast. Join us next time, when we'll be talking about the Clone Wars Season 4, Episodes 5 and 6, Mercy Mission and Nomad Droids. And then, after that, we're starting the Umbara arc, Sam. Oh my gosh.
Barf.
There it goes. Barf.
More like Barfa arc. Gross.
Hey! It's a very good arc. It's just a bad guy in it.
Yep.
Well, thank you all for joining us again. Go do all the spice that you want to. It's illegal, presumably.
Especially if the cool kids are doing it.
Don't stay in school. Do all the drugs. Drink before you're 21.
Hey.
Try to rent a car before you're 25.
Whoa!
Buy some fireworks.
Shoot them off within city limits.
Yes.
Do it.
Do all the
Densely
bad things,
populated
y'all.
areas. Yep.
Yeah, this episode of Unlimited Content is brought to you by Bad Decisions.
By doing bad things.
Doing bad things. All right.
Because they're
we love
cool.
you all. Take care of yourself, actually, and be good. May the Force be with you all. Bye!
Bye.
All right, cut the chatter. Roger, roger.